and welcome back to this week's episode of the Broken Kid Podcast. I hope all of you are doing great. I hope you're excited to be watching this episode. Let's just get right into it. Yes, you saw the thumbnail. You might be wondering what it is. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching this video. I appreciate you guys, and I don't like to say this too often, but if you guys watch the video and you like it, just go ahead and leave a little comment or a like. Lets us know that you like the direction we're heading in. And if you don't leave a like, then that's totally, absolutely fine. I will find you. I will come to your house. No, just kidding. But that being said, today, just like any other day, we are here to have a good time, to talk, let loose. This is all just in the name of fun. That being said, I'm going to tell a story about my own, pretty much, mishap. We're going to tell it like it is. If you read the thumbnail, you know about what this is about. It's about an awkward story about dating, or what I thought was a date. I should probably put air quotes on the quotations on dating, on first date on the thumbnail, but I won't do that. But you're probably wondering what the story is about. It's about a younger version of me not too long ago, probably about 2 years ago, when I still believed in love. And this is actually a really funny story. Let's just say, I'm not going to disclose where I used to go to, but I was a regular at a place. I used to go here, and they kind of are considered the best of the best when it comes to burgers. I'm not going to say what it is, but it definitely sure as hell ain't fucking McDonald's, that's for sure. First of all, their McFlurry machine or their ice cream machine never works. But I'll leave it at that so I don't give it away, because I don't want somebody who watches this video to know what I'm talking about. And let me just go ahead and do this. You're going to hear me from behind. There we go. That's much better. And we are back. I just had to change the settings on the camera. Anyhow, I was younger. I'm 24 now. I was probably about 23-ish. Life was kicking me in the stomach while I was down. I didn't have much to do in life. I was figuring myself out. Now I have more clarity with what I want to do. I have more ambition. I'm willing to let myself sink the teeth into what I want to accomplish. And, I was 23. I used to go to this place very regularly. It was fun. I still go to this place regularly. But this was like this. There was one girl that I had asked out prior. It did not go the best. It was a little awkward. I don't even know why I'm talking about this. But it wasn't fun. And I'm getting nervous. I'm sweating. And the AC's on in here. And pretty much, the first time I asked somebody at this place, it was a kind rejection. The second time, the third and final time, I would go so often, and I thought it was going to be like this different type of thing. It was so wholesome and fun and charming. And, slowly and surely we started getting to kind of talk to each other as regulars. Looking back in retrospect, that's all I ever was. I wasn't anything else, which, as you can imagine, is so painful. But I remember I would just go here so often, and I would get so excited to see this girl. And, I just thought she was so kind and sweet, and she was telling me about how she had her own, I like doing movies, or I like watching movies, and my goal is to eventually be in movies, and of course it was all of that. And, I was thinking to myself, wow, this girl is awesome, and she had a sense of humor, and I would go and go and go, and, she was, respectfully, she knew how to handle a conversation, which is a polite way of saying she was flirty, and she was very respectful, very pretty. However, I didn't know, and I just thought it was a different thing. And I remember one time I gave her like a CD of a movie. But I was so enamored with this person, and oh my god. Yeah, I remember, looking back in retrospect, the whole thing was so clear, because I remember I asked her out on a date, and it was so awkward, and I asked her if she wanted to go to Golfland one time, and it was like the worst thing because there was like a 6 second pause, and it was horrible. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, do you want to hang out, or maybe some other time? And she's like, well, what are your intentions, as friends? And I said, oh, no, like as a date. And it would go on to essentially, I don't even know why I put myself through this torture and this crucible, but it was horrible. But retelling it is just another thing. It's like opening a scar, like a wound. And she ended up saying, unfortunately, I do have a boyfriend, and at that time it was so disheartening. And no, well, it wasn't disheartening. It was confusing because I just didn't know. So I kind of tried to lick my wounds, but they weren't healing. It took like 2 days to get over it. I don't even know why I'm saying that, because of course you're not dating them, so you never had them to begin with. And it beats the time that I asked a girl at a coffee shop out, and she turned out to be a lesbian. She had a girlfriend, and somebody said when you went into that, you were probably expecting a lot of answers, but you weren't expecting that one. And the truthful answer is yes, I was not. I never went back to that coffee shop, as you could imagine. I just never, ever could go back there. And this whole story is, because it just gets a little worse. So I had been talking, I've been going there, and she had, I don't know if she thought I was like if I played for the other team, and maybe that's why she was so comfortable. But I just, maybe I was reading the signs so wrong. It's like I thought I was. It's like putting your hands and thinking you put your hands and you think you're reading Braille, but really you're reading breadcrumbs, and that's what it felt like I was being led on. But because she was just so nice, it's so easy to interpret somebody who's being nice and outgoing, and it's easy to interpret that as somebody trying to establish the ground for flirting, and of course it wasn't. And now I don't care. If you could write me a note that says check yes or no, I still won't take it as a direct form of dating. And I think that's how a lot of guys feel. But, I of course continue to go back. It's weird because it was almost as if the whole thing never happened, which I think that's a good sign of people who are trying to be mature. But I don't even like to use that word because, 90% of the time in my life I'm so immature. If there was a camera crew following me around, you would understand what I mean. Now, of course, we go, I keep going. Things within like a week, things are normal because I'm not gonna stop going to my favorite place, and it's just an interesting thing because I took this the wrong way. This is like the 100th act from her end that I took wrong, and it's not her fault. I should have known, and I think I know where she was trying to do. So, of course, because I'm a regular, I know all the faces there, and for most of them, I knew their face. But it was an interesting story because what would go on to happen is she said, "Oh, you like the movies, right? You should go see the movies today. I'm gonna go." And I said, "Oh, that's so cool. What time?" And she gave me, a time, and she said it was this one, and it was going to be for a movie event that was called the mystery movie. You pay like $5 and you go watch a movie that you don't know what it is because it hasn't been released, but it's pretty much a mystery pre-screening of a movie that will be released in a few weeks. And of course, I go. I felt like, oh my. I was standing there just kind of like my hands behind my back. And of course, who do I see? I see her. And who do I... And we're oh shit. Okay, we're back on track. Rolling. Come on. Hopefully. Do you want to vote for someone? Well, now you have the chance to do so. With the Face of the Halloween competition right around the corner, and we're nearing down to the final 10, you have just a chance. if you want to give somebody the lucky chance to win a lucky 13K, that's right, 13K, not 31,000, but 13K, feel free to click the link below, or if you're on the page already, just go ahead and verify your account with your Facebook account, and you'll be able to vote once every 24 hours. And remember, everybody's entitled to one good scare. I see her with a guy. I thought this guy was like her gay best friend or a friend, oh God, I remember it was like making eye contact with like Medusa. And if this whole podcast episode seems like it's not fun, or I sound like I'm being very sad and bleak, I am. But there is going to be a little bit of a silver lining moment, because it was almost like a moment from a movie. You couldn't have written this even if you wanted to. You couldn't have tried to replicate this in another world even if you wanted to. Because what happens next is, of course, her and her guy, I didn't know who it was, this guy, which was, we approach each other. She's like, oh, hey, she says, this is my boyfriend. And of course, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I do one of these things where I'm like, oh, God. And I think it was like visible that I was trying to hide my disappointment. And she's like telling me, oh, I didn't think you were going to show up. I thought this was like, I don't know. Somebody told me that maybe she was afraid of possibly pursuing a relationship, and that she was just deflecting it, and that there might be nobody that she's dating. We quickly crossed that one out in that moment. So that was gone. In that moment, I also say, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Because I was confused, I was transfixed, I was motionless. Somehow I still got myself to the bathroom, and I was telling myself, did you really think this was going to work out? Did you really think this was going to work out? And I'm in the urinal. I walk out, and I'm like, hey guys, how are you? And I ended up lying, and I said, I want to go watch a different movie. Not because, imagine if I would have bought the ticket for that movie, it would have been horrible. It would have been horrible. And it was one of the worst experiences, because here's where it gets worse. Upon coming to the bathroom and talking to them and lying to them that I'm going to go watch another movie, and they're like, oh, what are you going to do tonight? I was like, I have a class for like improv comedy, which was not a lie, but I lied, and I said it was going to be like after the movie. And the movie was going to be like really, it was going to be like we were going to come out of the movie like at like close to 9:30, 10, maybe even 10:30. And the boyfriend is like, that's awfully late for a class. Yeah, no shit. I'm deflecting here. I'm trying to like do something because I don't want to talk about this. And I looked kind of like, oh my God, like my story was falling apart. It was like trying to make a cake out of mud, and you're trying to keep it all together. But this is where it gets even worse. Out of nowhere, like a big guy, a big stature, and a woman, and like 5 little kids come out of nowhere. And she's like, oh, hey, how are you? And, to her, to my former crush, because let's be honest, in that moment, there was no such thing as love anymore. It turns out that, even if it would have worked out, it wouldn't have worked out that well, because she brought her entire family. This, I guess you could say, yeah, it's a family type of date even for the guy. But what kind of thing is that, where your poor boyfriend is gonna see the movie with your entire family? And I'll say it like this. It felt like it was the event, like the portals from that Doctor Strange does, where he goes like this, and I don't know where they came from, and I was like, holy shit, more people are gonna. It was like little ducklings. I didn't know who else was gonna come. I really thought more. Definitely not me that night, but and definitely not her boyfriend, because so much for the whole hole at the bottom of the popcorn bucket antic. That wasn't going to work out for anyone. And she's like, oh, her dad, they weirdly, for some strange reason, introduced me. It felt like I was at a party that I shouldn't have been. It was like being a Democrat among Republicans, the only one. It was this horrible, horrible experience. And, yeah. She's like, oh, is this your friend? And I said, oh, are they going to watch the movie with us? I said, oh, no, I'm going to watch a different one. I just happened to bump into them. I didn't think that I was going to, that it was going to work out with this, what I thought at the time was a great person. Not that I think she's horrible, but in hindsight, everything is 20/20, It's like you're wearing 10 pairs of glasses. And you can see every letter that you're supposed to. How could you not have seen it? But I told the story, and here's the funny thing. I didn't go watch the movie. I decided to do something better and get mad. And I was like, you know what? F this. I'm gonna go to my improv class. And then I arrived like 10 minutes late, and I told them what had happened. This terrible story, and yeah, I don't know. It's like an angry koala was dry humping any possibility for me to find love or a relationship. And no, it was so awkward. It was really awkward, but it was almost like, she didn't invite me specifically with her. I interpret it as like, oh, it's a low commitment way of saying, let's go on a date. Or, let's meet up at the place and we can just watch it. It could be like a get together. And, I was thinking it would be like a great way to plant the seed and see where it goes. There was no seed planted, but they did plant a seed in her. In other words, I ended up finding this about 2 months later after the incident. She had quit. She ended up getting pregnant by her boyfriend, and now they have a kid. And it was kind of like I dodged a bullet. And I told the story to somebody else, and pretty much somebody who worked there, and he told me, yeah, no, you're crazy to think that. You're fucking crazy, and also you just dodged a fucking bullet, which is a great thing to do. And he was telling me about how she flirts with everyone, and how this other person who worked at the place that I was a regular at, told me, oh yeah, she used to flirt with everyone and just be flirty, but it didn't mean anything. She just was so comfortable approaching everyone in a way that was that way. So then you find out, oh, you're not so special. You do this to everybody that you come across that you think is like, it's more about you and less about the person, which also, that's kind of shameful. Not the best thing to do. But of course I was just bewildered by the whole thing. I was shocked, disappointed, but it was also kind of like a learning experience that, sometimes it doesn't have to be romantic. It can be a platonic relation, a friendship, even though I don't talk to her, and I never will ever again, hopefully. But it just reminded me of that movie with Ryan Reynolds that you should definitely watch. It was earlier in his career, around 2008 period, and it's called Definitely Maybe. And there's a scene where he's just kind of thinking life to himself, and he's not where he wants to be. He feels like a complete hack, and then he meets one of his former lovers, and she is now pregnant, and her husband, who she got pregnant with, left. And she says, I think we can fix this relationship in about 8 months. And she's making the joke to say, everything will be smooth sailing by the time the kid arrives, because she practically regrets letting this amazing man that was Ryan Reynolds' character in the movie. But there is no real, aside from, this sounds a little cynical and a little pessimistic, but I think that's just a realistic way of being able to handle the disappointment. Sometimes she clearly had different intentions. I misinterpreted them. But, I guess I don't know who the real winner is, me or her, because now they have a kid and they were like relatively young. She was like 21. At the time I was 23. Having a kid is no simple thing, you know? And yeah, that is my story with dating. It wasn't that good of a story. And yeah, it wasn't happy. But fear not, because a few years later now, fast forward to whatever age I am, 24, I still don't have a girlfriend. I still haven't been able to find. I've been trying to date, and of course I go on dates, but they fail miserably. Yeah, like I went on a date and I thought I was gonna get like robbed. But that's kind of my fault, because I did have it here in my house, because I felt peer pressured for her to come over. But nothing terrible happened, you know, it was all respectful. But I just thought she was gonna, like, you know, yeah. Without going too much into it, she ended up bringing her own, like, you know, plant that you know, and, yeah, whatever. I decided to dabble in it, literally. Oh, and it was laced in something. I don't know what it had in it, but I woke up the next day as if like I was at the Bill Cosby estate. That being said, you know, enough about me. We are going to go ahead and end it here, but I do want to take this time to say thank you to all of you who stayed here and watched my tragic story. I appreciate everything that you guys do by watching and just being who you guys are, and hopefully you guys found this enjoyable. And before you guys go, I just want to say to have a good night and you know, enjoy life. You know, what else is there? And hopefully I see you back for next week's episode of the Broken Kid Podcast. And that being said, see ya.